Good morning, good afternoon, good evening on this beautiful Sunday. And I am here with the Church of the Agnostic, and I am your agnostic teacher, seeker, Uncle James. And we're going to talk about Three Eye Atlas. What the hell is it?
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.
So, Three Eye Atlas, to my understanding, is a big chunk of rock that has come from very far away and has entered our solar system and is blasting on through at a very fast pace. And everybody's talking about it because it's doing some weird ass shit that comets and asteroids that are typically in our solar system don't do. So a lot of people are saying this is aliens from outer space have come to visit. Is it aliens? I don't know. I'm not there. What I can give you is a perspective from the agnostic point of view. Having grown up and been a Christian before, and learning and growing up with that experience and having that hindsight, that from that cultural lens, in other words, but having a few other insights that you might find interesting. So we had, prior to Three Eye Atlas coming into our solar system, we had another chunk of space rock called Oumuamua, which everybody thought were space aliens because it just looks so weird that it looks like a big probe, space probe going through space. So everybody thought those were aliens. What we want from a spiritual perspective is to view what's probably more important than the actual object itself, is our reaction to it. Or let's say, even if it was space aliens, our reaction is more important than the space aliens when it comes to our global reaction to it. Let me give you, I guess, an example of story. Let's say aliens come from outer space. Let's say they're highly advanced, highly technologically advanced, and they're what we would call four-dimensional beings. Four-dimensional beings is a fancy way of saying they don't really necessarily are bound by the perimeters of space and time as we are, because right now we don't currently have the technology to change space and time that we know of. So fourth dimensional beings have the ability to see all space and time all at once, past, present, and future. And so if you were to encounter a fourth dimensional alien, and this fourth dimensional alien were to interact with you, this fourth dimensional alien is not going to necessarily see you as an individual. It's going to see the entire human race as a whole when interacting with you as an individual. So that means that when they see you, they see everybody. When they see you, they see the potential of all human beings. All at once. Past, present, and in future. Okay? So what we bring to the table when encountering fourth dimensional beings, or fifth dimensional beings for that matter, we bring with us all our issues, all our problems, and all of our wants and desires, and all that is then reflected back to us, because we are radiant beings. We are radiating our auras with all our wants and desires and dreams and issues and problems and, things that we have to overcome. So they reflect those things back to us. So what's happening is that these fourth dimensional beings, by virtue of their existence, is assisting us, human beings, to be able to look beyond our own faces, 5 minutes beyond our face, and see the vast potential of who we really are as eternal beings. We are eternal beings living a temporary human existence. So, this is the inherent this is what happens when you meet a fourth dimensional being. Now, that's not to say that all aliens are fourth dimensional. Not every alien is going to be fourth dimensional. There's probably three-dimensional aliens that are as three-dimensional as we are. Maybe a little bit more technologically more advanced we are, by virtue of them being able to fly through space, so on and so on. But I key in on the fourth dimensional beings because there's a certain phenomenon that's going on that has to do with our own spiritual growth. And I group these beings and this phenomenon in the same group that I group ghosts, UFOs, you see, things like that happen that we can't explain, but no matter where you go around the world, somebody is going to have an experience that they saw a UFO or that they saw a ghost. Now, as I said before, what's most important is not so much those things, it's our reaction to those things. Are we frightened? Are we excited when we see a ghost? I would say on the whole, most people are going to be on the scared state and the frightened state when it comes to, ghosts and seeing a ghost. I certainly would be startled because it's not something you're accustomed to seeing every day. I'm not saying I'm going to be terrified, but I would probably be a little startled, like, oh my God, what am I seeing? I personally have not seen ghosts. I've seen a couple things that, objects that move on their own, every now and then that I can't explain. But I haven't seen a ghost. And I haven't seen UFOs before that I know of. So, what's important is our reaction to those things. If we see a being, an alien, a ghost, and our reaction is to be frightened, that's something that is a universe giving you a lesson to saying, hey, pay attention to this because you need to be able to overcome it. And in a way, the whole phenomenon as a whole, when it comes to UFOs, aliens, it's a test of human character. And if we're still being frightened out of our minds when it comes to these things, it's telling us as a human race we're not ready for the big time. And that means we're not ready to be visited by aliens, and interdimensional beings of different kinds. So we have a lot to take care of. We have a lot to clean up here on Earth in this current time and age. We have a lot of strife. We have war. We have famine. We have greed, fear. These are things that need to be taken care of. before we can decide to say, hey, we're going to go and meet space aliens. Oh, I changed my mic. There we go. Alright, so it's important. These things are assisting us, and they're teaching us the lessons that, when we encounter a ghost or we see a UFO, we need to be mindful of what's going on internally within our own hearts, within our reactions, and to meet these things without fear. And that's probably one of the most important, if not the most important, number one thing that we need to ensure that we have overcome as a species is fear. Fear is quite literally a mind killer, and I'll go into more in other videos, quite literally a more in-depth guide of what fear is actually doing, because it's not only affecting our spirits, but it's also affecting our minds, our bodies. Fear and stress. Fear causes stress, and it quite literally can kill you. Albeit slowly, but fear and stress are killers. So this is something that we have to overcome. Once we've overcome this, and then we've gotten to a point where we are at peace within our own hearts and our minds, then we're able to get to the point where if aliens from outer space or interdimensional beings want to interact with us, we're not going to be freaked out of our minds about it. Right? We're not going to be causing wars. We're not going to be worried about war, or anything like that. Okay? And that's the importance of, when it comes to 3i Atlas, ghosts, aliens, that's one of the initial lessons, if you will, that we need to recognize and understand, because these things are here because they're so unexplained. And that's one of the hallmarks of when you know that the universe is trying to teach us a lesson, because when you encounter something that's so unexplained, so out of the blue, so otherworldly, that is surefire and damn sure a lesson from the universe. And we need to pay attention. So 3i Atlas, something that we need to pay attention. Not necessarily need to be freaked out about it. At the same time, we don't need to be embroiled in conspiracy theory about 3i Atlas or anything that comes within. We will experience these things as a human race, and it is our job, our duty, our lesson to learn here is to overcome the stimuli as it comes into our space, in other words. So yeah, 3i Atlas. What is it? Is it? I've contemplated it, thought about it. Is it space aliens? What if it's a tomb for some alien race? So there's no one alive on it. Maybe there is aliens on it. They're just dead. Maybe it's just a floating tomb in space. Or even worse, what if it's a actual space vehicle for inmates? What if it's a prison ship, and the aliens on it are criminals from their own species, and they're just floating around in space against their will? Well, I guess because that's their just looked through space for a very long time. That would probably be something that would get very old after a while. Just seeing the same stars over and over and over again. You can't go nowhere for, what if you're sentenced for thousands of years? That would be crazy. So, yeah, could it be a prison ship, a tomb ship? I don't know. Just the way that it's just kind of, it is sort of on a parabolic course through the solar system and where it's going, as if it was flung from a very distant stars and from long time ago, and it's on its way and it's just going wherever it's going. All the weird shit that it does and the weird colors that it does is maybe because it comes from a different part of space and it's got different shit on it chemically, that causes it to have its different green and blue hues and different plasma explosions as it's being affected by our sun and the solar winds. So it could be anything, but again, the important thing is to understand is that we're going to meet whatever it is with the idea that we're going to be at peace, one and equal as one. Okay, right? So here's a little bit of an exercise that I want to give you guys in order to be able to help you get to a point of peace within your own hearts. If you are a type of person that has abject fear when it comes to UFOs, aliens, ghosts for that matter, this is for you. This will help you to get to a point where you're not having to succumb to the fear of such thing. Okay? And that's the important thing. You want to be able to function. You want to be able to not have fear. And what it involves is a breathing technique called It's a meditation called meditation of no mind. And it's a technique where you focus on breath while eliminating every thought and emotion that comes into your mind and in your space as it comes in. So as you're breathing in and out, and it's not something, there's no special technique to it. You just breathe and you just focus on the breath. In and out. You can focus on the things around you as long as it's not distracting. And what this is allowing you to do is to clear your mind as you clear all the thoughts out of your mind as they come in. And trust me, if you're like me, when I meditate, and when I start meditating, I start thinking about everything else of the day that just starts coming along. I start thinking about my schedule, start thinking about what I'm going to do for work tomorrow or the next day. I start thinking about what I'm going to cook for dinner. All this shit just starts coming in your mind when you stop thinking about other things, right? So it's important that as you're meditating and focusing on breath, that you immediately zap out any thought that comes in. Now, very important, and I stress this, is that this warning that you need to set your intention before you do this meditation. And the reason why you want to set your intention is because when you begin to clear your mind and you're stopping all thought that comes into your mind, and you're quiet and you still your heart, you become a beacon for any being out there that wants to communicate. So it's important that you're not going to be in communication with anything or anybody. The focus of this exercise of breathing, this breathing technique, this meditation, is to clear your mind of all thought. Now, as you get to this point where you have for a few minutes now cleared your mind, you got all thoughts, you're successfully getting all thoughts off out of your mind. You're not in emotion and you're still and quiet. This is where you want to then say these things that are going to help you. It's about self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is saying that I'm taking ownership of whatever's bothering me and I'm going to forgive it, thereby power. I forgive myself for allowing myself to feel fear and anxiety when I see an alien or UFO. To hear no more. I forgive myself for allowing myself to feel fear and terror when I see ghosts in the house or wherever. To hear no further. I forgive myself for, and insert whatever it is that is bothering you about these things. It's also very important to forgive oneself for, believing into all kinds of conspiracies, because the more you start believing into all kinds of conspiracies, hey, I'm all for a good conspiracy theory every now and then myself, but I don't believe it. I don't. It's important not to believe or disbelieve anything, but just come to a point where you can hear a good conspiracy theory and not be like, oh, I believe that. Okay? I forgive myself gives you power over that thing.